Today, there was an announcement for MVPs. Jose Abreu wins it in the American League. And Mr. Freeman, yes, a Met killer, a person of interest. The next person after Chipper Jones for the Atlanta Braves wins the National League MVP. Well-deserved, by the way.
Absolutely.
Well-deserved. Freddie Freeman is one of the best hitters in baseball. He's a fantastic defensive player at first base. And he's such a good Samaritan. He really is the other side of what the Braves were looking for after Chipper Jones retired. He is the guy, the face of the Atlanta Braves. Now you have Acuna. When Freeman retires, you have Acuna and all the young players and young
Albies, if they can re-sign Ozuna. And look, Freddie Freeman also, Errol, don't forget, he was somebody that when he had COVID, he said, I felt like I was going to die when he had it. I mean, literally, that's how he felt. So to come back from months ago where he's feeling like he's on his deathbed to winning the MVP, it's a pretty good story. I'm just, you know what I mean? And you think about it, and look, the guy's been consistent every year of his career. He really is. He's performed well, but he's also amazing in the field as well. So he's more
special.
Obviously a 5-2. Yeah, I wouldn't say 5-tool player because obviously he doesn't steal bases as a first baseman, but he's one of the top elite first basemen in the game today.
He could be. He's moving to being a Hall of Famer. He really is.
Yes.
He's that good.
He kills my team. He kills my team. He kills Speedy's team all the time, too. I tell you that much. You don't pitch to him.
Maybe he'll name his next son City.
Yeah, right. Like Chipper named his son Shea. Oh, God, it's ridiculous. And then you see what Chipper Jones did? He bought a cardboard cutout of himself at Citi Field this year. I almost said Shea Stadium. At Citi Field this year, he bought a cardboard cutout of himself and put it in the stands. I'm trying to think of an even worse move. Yet, meanwhile, I hear him on the broadcast, and I want to turn that off and say, wow, this is the best they got? Okay. Maybe he should stick away from the broadcasting and maybe just relish in his playing career.
Well, and also Jose Abreu. And I will say this about Jose Abreu. I don't think Jose Abreu should have won the MVP. I thought DJ LeMahieu was the better player. If you look at the statistics, he was the better all-around player, hitting-wise, OPS. I mean, on-base percentage, I think Jose Abreu had a better on-base percentage. But all-around statistics, I would have given it to DJ LeMahieu. I know he won the batting title in the American League. He's the first player in history to win it in both the National League and the American League. So it's a fantastic story. DJ LeMahieu is a fantastic story. The reason why he's a fantastic story is because he always wanted to be a New York Yankee, and the Yankees took a chance with him. Yes, they actually took a chance with him. He was available a month before the season. The Yankees decided to sign him for $7 million. I think between $7 and $10 million a year. I think it was after they signed him 2 years for about 20 to 22 million. And they have gotten their money's worth. I mean, DJ LeMahieu should have won the batting title the year before. So he's been a fantastic player, and the Yankees have come out and said, and you heard what Hal Steinbrenner said when they interviewed him after the season. He said that because of COVID-19, it is going to affect their spending spree in the offseason. But I do look at DJ LeMahieu to be the number one guy for the Yankees, the key target in the offseason, because you cannot lose DJ LeMahieu winning. He was runner-up for the MVP, who won the batting title, and he was the main reason why the Yankees snuck into the playoffs. And I said snuck in because they didn't deserve, throughout the 60-game season, they did not deserve to make the playoffs.
Well, if it was a regular season and they didn't do the expansion of the playoffs, the Yankees wouldn't have gotten in. It's that simple. I agree with you, Errol. I think DJ LeMahieu should have definitely won the MVP, but I think the reason they gave it to Jose Abreu is because, one, the White Sox hadn't made the playoffs, and can't remember how long it's been.
Since they won the World Series.
Yeah, I think was it 2005? Was it, I think, the last time they did win it? When they won the World Series, I think it was the last time they got there. And, they call it the most valuable player. Look, DJ, I agree with you. I think DJ LeMahieu should have won it. The Yankees, he is number one on their list. I don't care what their spending spree is, whether they have the money, they don't have the money, doesn't matter. The New York Yankees have to bring him back, okay? Because the Yankees in their lineup, he's a different dynamic in their lineup. He adds something that a lot of the players on the Yankees lineup don't have, like Stanton and Judge and those guys. With the power numbers, but the strikeout numbers. LeMahieu doesn't strike out. You know what I mean? Puts the ball in play. He's an on-base percentage guru in itself. And let's not forget, he's one of the best defensive players in the game. He could play first base, he could play second base, he could play third base, he could play all over the place. If the Yankees lose him, which I don't think they will, I know I've heard the Toronto Blue Jays have said they're willing to overpay for him, but if the Yankees lose him, which I don't think they will, that is a massive, devastating blow to the Yankees, and they would have to figure out a way to replace that production, and that's a hard thing to do.
Didi Gregorius, I've been hearing stories that no matter what happens, they're going to try to bring Didi back. He is a free agent.
And I've heard Andrelton Simmons, too. I've heard Simmons also. That's another guy that I've heard that they're interested in because he fits the bill. Defense, and shoring up the middle, moving Torres back to second.
Absolutely. So the Yankees are going to be looking for some infield bats if DJ LeMahieu is not going to be re-signed. I do believe the Yankees are going to re-sign DJ LeMahieu. They're not going to let another team outbid them for DJ LeMahieu. And
they can't afford it. It'll kill them.
I don't think DJ LeMahieu, honest to God, I don't believe DJ LeMahieu wants to leave the Yankees. I think he wants to be a Yankee, and he's not going to get a long-term deal. He's probably going to get 3 to 4 years. He's not going to get more than 4 years because DJ LeMahieu, even though he's still fairly young, he's 30 years old, teams are going to look at this, especially with the contracts and the money with the COVID-19. They're not going to overspend, and they're not going to backload the years like we've seen other teams do over the years, and it really screwed them, aka Bobby Bonilla. Okay, so
yeah, well, I mean, you can always backload that, but look, I mean, the point is this: like I said, the Yankees have to bring him back because, again, he just adds that element that the whole with Luke Voigt, Stanton, Judge, Torres, Sanchez, Frazier now likely is probably going to replace Gardner. You would like to think
he's gone.
So it's almost like he's somebody that the Yankees need to keep in their lineup because look, and I'll even give you an example because look, we'll talk about the Mets, but even like the Mets have some power hitters too. Too much. You don't want too many. That's why a guy like Jeff McNeil is an on-base percentage guy. He's tough to strike out. You need guys like that in your lineup. The Texas Rangers, when they went to the World Series those couple of times, they had those guys with Michael Young, with Ian Kinsler. They had guys like that could get on base for you, and you bring up the power hitters later on like Nelson Cruz and Josh Hamilton and those boys. So that's why when you look at it, you got to have at least 1 or 2 of those guys that can get you on base and not just be an all-or-nothing power guy. Get the base hits. Play the fundamentally sound baseball game.
Why don't we get into the New York Mets? I know that's what you want to talk about. Uncle Stevie is now running the organization. And
it's wonderful. I can't, man.
And I know great. Met fans are jumping for joy because
we have every right to.
Mr. Stevie is going to, and I understand what they interviewed him. The press talked to him this week, and he spoke very highly of analytics, and he believes in analytics, and he also believes in Sandy Alderson. That's why he brought him in as the president of the New York Mets organization. And I understand why they cleaned house. There is no Brody Van Wagenen anymore. There's no Oma Minaya anymore. They're going to rebuild this team and structure it into a route which is going to grow. And I think Cohen is going to open up his pockets. I think he's going to stay back and see what's available this offseason and slowly but surely pounce on the players that he thinks fits the mold of the New York Mets organization. But I will say this to all you Met fans. Beware on thinking that he is going to open up and split his pants and open up his pockets. It's not going to happen.
He wasn't going to.
He's not going to do that.
Yeah, he said he wouldn't.
He's not going to do that.
Yeah, no. And look, I'm not under the expectation he's going to either. I don't think he will. I think he'll sign some top free agents. I mean, Sandy, remember, in the early 80s when Sandy Alderson ran the Oakland A's, they had the highest payroll in baseball. They did when they won the World Series. And it's funny, all of us Met fans, and myself included, I'm sure Speedy said, and I don't want to speak on your behalf, Speedy, but I'm sure you probably thought the same thing when you thought, hey, why is the payroll so low? Sandy Alderson is probably one of the reasons, right? You probably thought that.
Speedy's one of the reasons.
We all thought that.
Speedy's one of the reasons.
I want to negatively affect the Mets payroll.
But it's like we all thought that way. And look, I think it turned out it was it turned out it was the Wilpons because we didn't look enough. Sandy Alderson had a very high payroll with Oakland, and they were high payrolls every year until the owner passed away, and everything changed. And Sandy said it in his press conference. Two things that stuck out to me with Sandy Alderson was, one, he said, we're going to get enough meat and potatoes, but we're also going to shop in the gourmet section. Basically meaning we're going to get good quality players in here, and we're going to also sign some great superstars that are going to help this team develop. That's one thing I took. And two was, he said, I'm going to have a seat at the table when it comes to decisions, but I will not be at the head of the table. I will not be at the head of the table. And I took that as, look, he's taking Jeff Wilpon's position, which everybody thought for years that was not Jeff Wilpon's position, was COO, which was a load of garbage. Met fans knew it. We knew he was running the show. He didn't know what he was doing. And I thought, listen, Steve Cohen's, it sounded a little cheesy, his statement at first. It did sound a little cheesy, some of the stuff. But he sounds really, first off, articulate. The guy made $14.5 billion for a reason. Clearly, he knows what he's doing. They're going to beef up the analytics, which they really have to, because they're so behind the curve with that. And he even said, am I going to spend like a drunken sailor? No, I will not. But what I will do, and he said it, I will take advantage of this market. Because let's face it, 29 other teams this year lost money. The New York Mets are coming into this offseason with not losing a dime because their owner wasn't a part of the season last year. So they have the money. And there's certain needs that are out there. I'm not telling you to sign every free agent, but a George Springer fits what the Mets need. A Trevor Bauer fits what the Mets need. A Brad Hand fits what the Mets need. A James, you don't even need to sign
very costly.
Don't even sign JT Realmuto. Don't even sign Realmuto. Don't even have to. Sign James McCann. I'm fine with that. Don't give me Yadier Molina. I don't want that. I don't need 38-year-old Yadier Molina behind my
I've been hearing
the Yankees. I know.
I've been hearing the Yankees going to bring him in.
That's fine. They can have him at 38. I don't know if you'd really. I mean,
Well,
look, I think anybody beats Gary Sanchez.
Well, they're going to trade Gary Sanchez. That's
Yes.
what I've been hearing. They're going to trade Gary Sanchez, try to get some prospects for Gary, and they're going to bring in an older player like Yadier Molina and see, because you don't need a lot of power in that position.
No, you don't need any power, Errol. That's really what it comes to. You don't need any power.
You need a defensive player that can throw people up.
You need a defensive-minded player that's a good leader in that clubhouse, and I think that's what the Yankees need. And as far as with the Mets go, look, the Mets have in my opinion, the Mets are not that far away. They have a very good core. They really do. They have a very good group of young players.
Speaking from a Met fan, ladies and gentlemen.
Listen, say what you want, be it as it may.
He's a Met fan.
Keep singing it. That's fine. But I seriously, the biggest thing that I also took from Cohen was this. They asked him the question of, do you want to compete with the Yankees? He said, I'm not here to compete with the Yankees. I'm here to compete with 29 other teams and make this the best product on the field and spend like we're a big market team. And he said, we're going to be smart about it. And I appreciate that. Finally, for the love of God, we have suffered through so much crap.
Or love.
We have suffered through so much. Come on, Speedy, you know us. We suffered through so much garbage between the press conferences with Jeff Wilpon stuttering his words like a guy that's a fish out of water. Okay, he had no idea what he was doing.
All right. We heard enough. We heard enough about the Mets. Okay, we know.
Saying. Be excited, Met fans.
Stevie Cohen is going to open up his pockets. I just don't think he's going to open up his pockets the way you guys think he's going to open up his pockets. I think he's going to hold back and see what's available.
Yes.
He's going to strategically attack what he thinks is a need.
He will be smart about it, and he's got good baseball guys he's hiring too, so that's the good thing.